Hi, I'm Andrew,
And I'm Sam.
and we're MV Board Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at Explorers of Navoria by, and I'm hoping I'm going to do this right, Dranda Games is the publisher, and the art and game design is Meng Chenulin. Okay? So, I'm going to show you how this one plays real quick, and then we'll come back and give you our final thoughts. So I went ahead and I set up a game of Explorers of Navoria. Now, this is quite a table hog. So I have my player board here. It is covering up some stuff, but I'll go over that. I just am kind of cramming it all in so it all fits on the screen as best as possible. So this game plays very quickly. It's only 20 minutes per player. And so what you're doing in Explorers of Navoria is that this is going to be taking place over 3 rounds. And each round is broken into 4 different phases, where you are going to be pulling tokens in order to gather cards, and then using those tokens in order to take actions as like a worker placement. But you're also going to be fulfilling orders and moving up tracks. And at the end of those 3 rounds, whoever has the most victory points is going to be the winner. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of show you what a round looks like and how you're going to be scoring points and what you're going to be doing in the game to give you a feel and an overview of how the game plays. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. So at the beginning of each round, the first phase is going to be recruiting, where you're going to take turns and players are going to be drawing tokens out of this bag or taking tokens that are in the city in order to draft cards. So on your turn, you will reach into the bag and you will draw 2 tokens. So in this case, I drew a green and a blue. I will then choose one of those tokens that I drafted in order to take a card from the corresponding deck. So if I want to take one of the cards from the green selections here display, I will then put the token on top of the deck and choose one of the 3 cards that are available. Now I'll show you what these cards look like, and there's going to be a number of things you're going to be looking for. Each card is going to have immediate benefits, but also possible reoccurring benefits in future phases. So down here, all of these are going to be instant. If they have just no symbols with them, I'll show you some examples. These are instant benefits. However, if I went with the blue, you see how I have this little C icon? That has to deal with income, where we're going to be able to earn some points based on some different things that we'll talk about here in a second. And some cards are going to give us end game scoring that we'll worry about at the end. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's the 3 different options you're going to have. You're going to have some immediate benefits, some reoccurring benefits, and then end game scoring. You're also going to be paying attention to these little symbols in the top right hand corner. In the game, you are going to be collecting these symbols in order to be, and you're trying to be the first in order to achieve some end game scoring as well. So the first person to get 5 of these beast tokens will get the very top portion of this end game scoring tile, where I will get 2 points for each yellow and pink card that I have in front of me at the end of the game, because you're going to be drafting these and collecting them throughout each round. However, the second person to achieve this objective will only get 1 point for each of those cards. So as you're going, you're going to be collecting these cards, and you can, again, either draw 2 from the bag, or if there's one that you like, you can take from the city, the town center, and you can place it and grab one of those cards. And you're going to do that 3 or 4 times depending on the number of players. If you're playing a 2-player game, each player will draft 4 of these cards. If you're playing a 4-player game, you'll only do 3. Okay? And so as you're doing that, you will be choosing certain ones to use and certain ones not to. Whatever tiles or whatever tokens do not get chosen will go away for the second phase, and you will only have access to the tokens that you use to draft cards. And that will take us to the gathering phase. In the gathering phase, players are going to choose tokens that are on top of the deck, so tokens that you use for the first phase, in order to take actions in the city. And so, depending on what tokens you have available, some actions might be very limited or not available at all, depending on what your selections were for the first phase. Now, most of these are going to have to do with resources. For example, the green part, so if you want to use a green token, and usually the top ones are always the most beneficial. Some might be very situational as well, depending on what your needs are. But you're going to be collecting these resources. So in this case, 2 apples. Over here, you're going to get 2 crystals, 2 swords. There also, some might give you additional resources of your choice. Some might give you victory points. And so you've seen these on the cards. You've seen these now on these worker placement spots. And you're going to be wondering, what am I gathering these resources for? Well, during the game, as you collect these resources, you're going to be placing them in one of these 3 sections on your player board in order to try and fill orders. And when you receive multiple items, you can only put one on each space when you collect them. So if I take a card that has 3 different items that I'm collecting, I have to put one on each. I cannot put multiples in the same location. And each one is going to be wanting a different kind of order. So here you want 1 sword, 1 crystal, 1 apple. Here is just 4 tokens total. Here it's 3 of a specific type. So you need 3 swords or 3 crystals or 3 apples. And what you're doing is that when you fulfill this order, you are then going to be able to earn some additional victory points. And you're also going to be able to potentially move up some tracks. So as you're looking out here on the board, there are 3 tracks. You're going to have the glacial track here, you have the desert track, and then you're going to have this forest track down here. And each of these are a bit of a little mini race, where as you are buying these cards, you're going to see icons like this, where you're going to be able to advance up those specific tracks, and you're also going to be able to build out these little I guess I want to call them like checkpoints or forts. I can't remember what they refer to them as, but you're going to be building these out on the first 3 spaces. So the first one will go where it's marked number 1, 2, and 3. And I'll explain why those will be important. But as you buy these and place them on the board, you will unlock additional benefits for when you fill these orders that will generate additional victory points, extra movements up tracks, and even giving you some options of what you want to do. But they'll each always score you points based on the green cards that you take. And what's going to happen with these tracks is at the end of every single round, whoever is the furthest is going to get the benefits based on where they're at. Now, in this, they're all the same. The first player is going to get 3 victory points. Third will, or in a 3-player game, second place will get 2. In a 4-player game, third place will get 1. And I'll get back into that a little bit there. So when you see those icons with the little feet and the question marks, that means that's how you're going to be advancing up these tracks. And these tracks are going to be important because you might score points based on flags that are on these tracks, and you'll score victory points if you make it to the end of these tracks. So when you're doing this gathering, that's what you're going to be coming out here. You're going to be gathering these resources in order to fill these orders, to generate points and move up these tracks. Once everybody has, you have used all the tokens, they all get, you take turn order. Everybody takes a turn by placing a token out into the city. Once all those tokens have been used, you are then going to go into your income phase. With the income phase, you are going to score for all the cards that have one of these C's. Okay? And so, for example, this one says for each of these, I think it's like a troll or a goblin, whatever, for each of those symbols that you have on all the cards in front of you, you're going to get a victory point. Other ones might say for each flag that you are at or past on your tracks, you will get a victory point. So that's where these will come in. Each track has a different number of flags. So for example, the forest one, which generates the most victory points when you make it to the end, only has 2 flags. However, this desert track here has 4 flags, and the end result has the least amount of victory points. So they each have their own unique number of flags, and you're going to score based on how you move up those tracks. Okay, so you're going to gain victory points for those income cards. You are also going to earn your rewards for the exploration on these tracks. So that's when you're going to score first, second, third, depending on the number of players that you have. Once you've done that, these are going to reset. So if you have not built any of your little checkpoints out onto those tracks, your guy, no matter how far your explorer went, will go all the way back to the beginning of those tracks. However, if I had built out, let's say I had built out 2 of these in the desert, when I go to reset, I would go to my hut. So the furthest one I went, that's where I would be my next starting point. So I kind of get a little bit of a head start as I build these out. Okay, and there will also be endgame scoring cards that pertain to how many of these you build out onto the different tracks. So that's why those will be important. So with that last phase, it's really just kind of resetting the board. Everybody's explorers go back. You're also going to put all the tokens back into the bag and refill the display. So any cards that weren't taken will get discarded and you will refill them. And then turn order is going to change based on the number of points. So if you have the most points, you will be first player for the following round. And you're going to play this over 3 rounds, where you're drawing the tokens to drive cards, then using those tokens to take a little worker placement game here in the middle at the city, and all while you are filling orders and moving up different tracks to earn the most points. And at the very end is when you're going to score end game scoring, as well as those cards that I showed you here, where it's going to say, for example, for each of those huts I have in the desert, I'm going to get 2 points. So if I built out all 3 of them, I can get 6 points, and you might want to double up. So maybe if I had multiples that score the same thing here, right? The forest, depending on the number of those little checkpoints I build, then I'm going to get those victory points. Also, you'll get victory points based on if you have managed to get 5 of each symbol, or of whichever ones you collect, you will score for those tiles as well. So this is just the base game, and I'm not going to go too much into the expansion, but I will show you a little bit of what comes with the expansion. The expansion is going to come with a new color card. So there are going to be gray cards that you will add on to the city here that give you kind of a combination of colors. So that helps when it comes to potentially scoring your end of game. They will also introduce these things called contracts. The contracts are going to be important because in the expansion, you are going to be able to, at the beginning, draft a specific faction as well as skills that you will be able to spend those contracts for. And each skill can be used during certain phases depending on which skill you have. Also, if you don't use these contracts, they are worth victory points at the end of the game. And also, it'll change up the rewards for each of these tracks every single round. So you're going to have a lot of replayability when it comes to those asymmetrical powers and the different track benefits. But that's going to be essential, and it adds a 5th player with the expansion as well. And it also adds some extra benefits for the first person that reaches the end of each track. So, and that's pretty much how you're going to play Explorers of Navoria. And like I said, whoever has the most points at the end of those 3 rounds is the winner of the game. So let's tell you what we think and let you know our final scores.
All right, and we are back. So this is another Andrew Christmas list game. This was number 1 on your list.
It was.
And
why was it number 1? Because I almost backed this. I wanted to. At the time, I was backing a lot of games. And I was like, something has to go. I can't back all of these. And I cut Explorers of Navoria, and I deeply regretted it.
Instant regret.
It was. It was a deep regret. My apologies go out to the entire team for canceling that pledge, but we were able to hunt down a Kickstarter version and the expansion, so we'll kind of talk about that as well. We played this quite a few times, actually. And so what's been nice is because I've taken a couple weeks off, so I just get to play a bunch of games over the last couple weeks. This has been amazing. And so this one, I was always like, oh, I kind of want to try it. I think I saw like one review on it, but I still was like, I want to try to find it. And I love that it's let's just jump into the review.
Yeah, let's just
so
production. Right,
let's jump into production. Production. One, I'm very impressed. I'm going to say this off the bat. The fact that I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Meng is the game designer and does the art. This gives off very Root kind of vibes, but I like this whimsical country with these people, and I don't know. It was just very. It's very
colorful.
Yeah, very colorful, captivating. I don't know, like
the map or the board looks like a map, and it feels like a map. Like it's just very just the way that it looks. It looks very cool.
It just looks really neat. I really enjoy it. It looks beautiful. The wood pieces are great. I didn't get the wooden components. Those would have been amazing. So, I mean, if you get a chance to get those, get them because they look awesome, like little swords and crystals and apples and whatnot. And so, really cool production. The graphic design is super simple and easy to follow on the cards. You either have these income turns or instant or end game, right? So you have those immediate benefits, the income benefits, or you have the end game kind of stuff. And so everything, it really flows. I think just component quality between the cards look really nice. Like the layout of the cards, really simple. The artwork, the board, everything just looks really nice. It can be quite a table hog, I think, because you have the cards that are coming off the side of the board, and you have a lot going on in the board with the pieces that are coming out. Right. But I think production-wise, I think they did a really good job. And the fact that it all fits in a small box, like it takes up a lot of table room and there's a lot of components, but it all fits in a nice little box, which I appreciate. Right. If I can ever get a game, also this plays at 20 minutes per player. So it plays pretty quickly, although I would say it plays a little bit longer than that.
A little bit, yeah, I would say.
Right. But I think every game we've always been teaching people as well. Well, at least almost every game.
Yeah. When it was just me and you and it was like more than, it was not our first time obviously, but it was like our second, third time, whatever. Like I felt like it did play fast.
Yeah, it did.
A lot
Definitely
faster.
played faster for sure.
Yeah.
So did you have anything you wanted to add to production?
No, I mean, I think you hit it. Like, I like the whole whimsical feel. I think the iconography is straightforward, which I like. It's not confusing.
Yeah.
Once you play it like one time, you're like, oh, okay, makes sense, kind of thing. So yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, and setup is pretty quick, other than just shuffling some decks and whatnot and putting out your supplies. It's pretty quick. Easy little setup, a teardown. The teach is actually really quick. It did not take me a long time to learn how to play this game. I mean, literally, I'm like, okay, you either take one of these and put it on the deck, or you draw from the bag too and decide which one you want to use. And those ones determine what you can do for the second with the, because it's recruit, gather, income, and then return. And so all of that is really nice, and it's just, turns are pretty quick. Do you want to draw a couple? Okay, where do you want which of these tokens do you want to put in the town center? Okay, great, you do that. You get your income, you score some points and whatnot, and everybody returns and you start the next round, right? And it's all played over 3 rounds. Like it plays like you're like, whoa, I only have 3 whole rounds to do all this stuff in. There's definitely times
the fast turns, you know, like you're not spending a lot of time doing stuff. And I mean, it is very like, all right, go. Okay, your turn's done. All right, now it's my turn. And so, yeah, it does go fast.
Yeah. So it's really good in that matter. And I think teach is super quick, super simple. There can be a lot of little things here and there where it's like, okay, I think the teach is like, okay, you have these orders. That's where it might get a little bit like the general flow is easy, But then, like, okay, keep in mind you're collecting these symbols because of this end game scoring. You're also putting you're putting out these little huts or outposts, right, on these different tracks that you're on, and also you're collecting these items to fulfill orders, and those let you do extra things once you fulfill them. So that's where the general overall of how a round works is very simple, very smooth. But then understanding the nitty gritty of what those simple, smooth actions lead to can kind of help you to be like, this is how you're going to turn this turn into a great combo, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're going to be able to build off of those kinds of things. So it can be really good. And to add on the expansion, it's not much. You're just adding another deck of cards that add these contracts and a new place to place workers, essentially. So very simple, but I like with the expansion, you also now have some asymmetrical powers, skills that you can use, and also like a starter thing that makes you different, right? So I might start with a certain card, or you might start with extra symbols, or whatever that looks like. And so that could be it's really easy to kind of just tack that on if you want to do that with the expansion and the base game.
Right.
As far as the mechanics, the thing that really stands out with me for this game is I like the fact that the workers that you choose to get cards in the first recruit phase, right? Whatever you don't choose goes away. So whatever you choose for the first phase determines what's available for the second phase.
It's going to affect the second phase,
right?
Yeah.
So depending on what's available, you might not be able to get the resources or do the actions that you want because you didn't choose that color very often during the actual recruitment phase. And so I like how those two play off of each other and in determining what your available actions are in the future. So I really like that mechanic wise. To me, I guess the theme is like, to me, I'm just collecting a bunch of cards, right? I don't get too much into the theme, which is weird because usually we're very thematic people. I think the theme is that you're exploring new lands or whatnot, kind of stuff.
So, kind of.
Yeah, like because you have the little tracks where you're racing up the ice, the desert, and the forest track, whatever you want to call them.
And I'm collecting apples and swords, and I'm trading them in for points, and yeah.
So thematically, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like super thematic. To me, I'm just collecting these cards and symbols, right, and moving up these tracks. So it has it's a very Euro-like feel. But downtime is really quick, right? Boom, done, go. Boom, done. Like the income is all done simultaneously, like, and then you're returning everything. Like the only thing is, do you want to draw the bag? And then, if somebody fills an order, there might be a little bit of something there, but pretty quick turns, I would say.
Yeah, it is very quick,
which I really like. But again, you're going to have some meaty decisions to make, which I enjoy. Those quick turns that are have a lot of factors that go into what makes them.
Yeah, you got to think about it.
Yeah. Luck and strategy. I feel like there's a good amount of luck, right? You're just pulling stuff out of the bag. At some point, you can kind of be like, okay, there's only 3 of each color.
But you got to strategize with what you get.
Right, yeah.
So
what are my chances of getting the color I want? Or do I just take what's available kind of thing? That kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's definitely some luck based on what cards come out, you know. But I think it's a quick game. I think the strategy can be just what are you going for? Like, what symbols do I go for versus the symbols? Like, I'm watching what other people are collecting, right? Because then I have those end game scoring abilities. So I think it's just kind of pivoting based on what's available to you. Yeah, I don't think like it's like, oh, someone else is going for this thing and I just get unlucky. I don't think that's the case. I think you can pivot and build a good strategy out of what's given to you.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. So return on investment. Thoughts? Sorry. Is there anything else you want to add?
No. I'm just thinking return on investment. So I got you this game, and I'm trying to think like, did I have any expectations of this game? I kind of like looking at it. I think I asked you that. I was like, is this made by the same people that made Root?
Oh
Like
yeah, and I
just
said
based on
no.
like the art. So I kind
Were you
of
dreading it because we're not big fans of
no,
Root.
I like the art. Like I think it's really cute. I like cutesy, whimsical looking stuff. So it looked interesting to me. Like I didn't know a whole lot about it. So I would say like I'd say it kind of like met my expectations because I mean it was I was like, oh, this looks fun, like a little like adventure type of game.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. This was one where I had a pretty good amount of excitement behind it. I was really pumped because I knew quite a little bit about how like mechanics worked before I even got the game and whatnot. Um, but man, yeah, it hit. It just hit. It met all the expectations. I really like the expansion. I think I'll always play with the expansion. There's no reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
That was the part I didn't know as much about. And so adding that on, that was a nice, pleasant surprise. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. Definitely always going to play with it. No reason not to. So I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed this one. I do prefer it at higher player counts
Oh, okay.
just because those racing up the tracks, right? There's a little bit more to it, a little bit more competition there and whatnot.
Right.
It opens up maybe a little bit more tokens that get pulled out, obviously.
Mm,
So I do like it at higher player counts, but I enjoyed it at 2 player as well.
okay.
So with that being said, I'll jump into my score.
Yeah. Give us yours.
Yeah, so I really like this one. If it wasn't for a couple of games, I think this one would be up there for one of my top games for the year. I'm going to give this an 8.5 for sure. I wanted to go a little bit higher, but I think I'm basing off of what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of some things, and it could go up potentially. It's a simple game, but I like the meatiness to it. Just in the decision making, so 8.5 for me.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I thought it was like okay.
Wow.
I mean,
See.
I like it. It's not like I would dread playing it, you know. But it's just like it's okay, you know.
No,
It's
it's good.
okay.
It's really good.
It's
I
okay.
really like this one. This is
I'll
one
give it
that I
like
can
a
play a lot.
solid like C plus.
No, it doesn't deserve that.
The art makes it. You
It's
know,
a
I
good
really
game.
like it.
I'm excited. I'm gonna definitely be looking for more games from this designer and from this publisher as well. So I'm really excited to see what they do in the future. Just because I like things that are kind of innovative like this. I really like that
Mm-hmm.
whole how the first phase affects the second phase and all that kind of stuff with
Mm-hmm.
the worker placement and the tokens that you're pulling out of the bag. So really find that intriguing. And again, I like a game that is quick but gives me some meaty decisions to make. So I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that.
Right.
And so yeah. So that's going to be our thoughts on Explorers of Navoria, as well as the expansion, which I highly recommend if you get the game, get the expansion if you can. And let us know what you think in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Bye.